Hello, wherever you are on the planet. It's a cold midday here in Southern California. We're expecting what is known as a winter storm for the next 2 days, starting this evening into Friday morning. So if you are in Southern California, please stay safe no matter where you are. And if you're overseas and enjoying some nice weather, please enjoy heartily. If you're in a place that's not ideal, trying to make the best you can of it. Diverse Mentality says, hey BC, good afternoon. How are you? Hopefully you're doing great. I see I'm getting some love here. Robert, 9090, thank you for joining on TikTok. And in case you're wondering, this is the Bisimoto Tech2sDay show. I'm in the Bisimoto headquarters with the team. I have right here in front of us, Instagram. To my right, your left, YouTube. To my left, your right, TikTok. In the center, podcasting via Riverside and also podcasters courtesy of Spotify. Nice looking Porsche behind you, says Aaron Kitchfield. Yes, this is a 1980s, late 70s, 935 Tribute. That is a 77A 935. Twin turbo, air-cooled engine, has a nice heat exchanger in front, which is an oil to air intercooler or heat exchanger, courtesy of our friends from CSF. Yeah, very quite clean car. And NAB, Nicholas, designed a nice livery, which was applied by my friends at Brando's Auto Care. So thank you so much for the kind words, appreciate that. B Christian, almost like Christian with a B, says, do you still have the Genesis Coupe? No, we actually, that BK Coupe was parted out years ago. The engine went to a guy who was putting in a Mustang. The gearbox, I think, went to someone else, or maybe the same chap. The chassis, there's a friend of mine, not friend, but client who came here to tune his RSX, saw the vehicle here and said, I want the roller, and put it back to stock. So he has the original roller, which is probably the fastest BK Genesis Coupe. And when I say fast, in terms of mile per hour, it did 178, I believe, in Aguila Bend with no fly zone, which is pretty cool. So it's a lot of fun indeed. What's up from Virginia? Asks S2 Killin. Thank you so much, all the way from back east. Hopefully you're staying very warm out there because I know it's quite cold. F35 Lightning gave me my #1 gifter badge. Thank you so much, F35 Lightning. Appreciate what you're doing here on TikTok. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see here. Wanted to talk about really some crazy stuff, which is quite interesting. A lot of people in our industry are kind of afraid of the tariffs and what's going on in terms of materials and costs for automobiles and metals and pharmaceuticals. So I don't know how it's going to play out. We'll see what happens. I just want to focus on what I have control over and making sure my team and I are okay, make sure the client builds continue to go through and do quite well. So it should be pretty nice indeed, pretty nice. How much horsepower do you think I can get out of a 5th gen Accord with a stock motor, no turbo and no suspension, or trans upgrade, says Aaron Kitchfield? It depends on how far you want to go. So if you are not, if you're a stock motor, no turbo, no suspension, are you able to do camshafts? Are you able to do head porting? Or are you just doing bolt-ons? So after the 5th gen Accord, if you're just doing intake, header, exhaust, wow, you'd be lucky if you see anything north of 11 to 15% power improvement. If you end up doing something with camshafts and head work, you have a lot more potential for power. If you raise the compression, wow, you can just make that car night and day. So it depends on what you're doing and what you have access to. Also, if you have engine management solutions, that can extract more power too. It depends what you are trying to do. Give me some more insight and I can provide you some more clarity on what you have. It's 66 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Finally getting to revise my 64662 and says, excellent drug, good to see you, brother. Thank you so much for joining. Campo says, blessings, good guy. Thank you so much for sharing that on TikTok. Thank you, thank you. A gentleman by a very strange screen name is like a bunch of characters, including what looks like a credit card and a black heart. Just sent me a #3 gifter badge. Thank you so much. What's up to you _ Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your kind words. Okay, let's see here. AV Overland Supply, great builder. If you're looking for something that's quite unique for your ride, especially when it has to do with overlanding or off-roading, AV Overland Supply is in Southern California here. Give him a call, reach out to him here on IG. He can definitely take care of you. I love what he does. And he can be a bad influence on me as I think about it, because I'm trying to get into overlanding and I have to consult with him to try and make some really cool projects happen, which is pretty good. Diverse Mentality says, thanks, I will join in next week. Have a few questions about my Astra K 2019 1.0 turbo. Nice setup. It's a 3-cylinder and has an MHI turbocharger and needs some advice. And I'll be more than happy to assist. Whether you're internal combustion, electric, hybrid, or whatnot, we are here to provide some insights. I'm here to share all my knowledge with each and every one of you of anything, any process I've built, anything I have coming up, anything we've done here on the stable. Please let us know, and I'll be more than happy to explore it with you. Boy Toy Clique here on YouTube says your next Porsche build should be a flying one like the old plane cars. I have not quite gone to aviation yet. I'm going to stay on the ground for now and make sure that my clank cars are completed. My stuff can stay on the back burner. There are 3 cars I need to get out ASAP, so I'll focus on those. But nonetheless, thanks for the kind words and suggestions as well. I love them. Keep them coming. Good afternoon to you, the Art Chemist. Thank you so much for joining here on YouTube. Appreciate you indeed. Campos sent me a rose times 10. Thank you so much, Campos. I appreciate the kind gesture. Not sure if you remember, but I asked you this question some weeks ago, says Diverse Mentality. I know, I get so many questions about it. Please ask away. I'm here to answer. There are worse ways to spend money, says AV Overland Supply. I concur, but thank you so much for being such a positive influence in our automotive community. Angelo Laurie from Berlin is joining us all the way in Germany. Thank you so much for your pleasure and for joining us this afternoon. I love Berlin, love Germany, beautiful place with amazing cars. I need to visit sometime soon here. Adam96 gave me another gift of badge. Thank you so much, appreciate that. Show the silver shadow, says Adam96, is right there. You can see the tail end of that. All of you can see it just right next to this Caterham right there. Full EV conversion. I am not pleased with the internals in terms of aesthetics or inside, or I would say interior where you sit. So we're gonna do some major mods to that before I start going haywire with that. But right now, it's in a little bit of a limbo. But thank you for asking. Bisimoto says, hey BC, like the name indeed. Thank you so much for joining. What's good, BC, says Roger That, just here. Came back from a wonderful event this past Friday, which I'll share with you in a moment. It comprised of that 935 there and 4 others. The M16, the K3V, which I don't know if you can see is right behind that as well. The Mobi X in a new format. It was just amazing. It was a night of 935s known as the Machine Aesthetic 01. It was held in downtown LA. We had over 600 RSVPs. Had a great opportunity to meet tons of people. Lots of celebrities came by. It was a great event indeed. We had a blast. Dayton Area Car Talk reporting in. Good seeing you. Do you have a favorite JDM import off-road vehicle? Favorite import off-road? Pajero. The Mitsubishi Pajero I love. My dad had one, flipped it, and he survived. That's how stout those cars were. A good friend of ours, Joe Gatt, has a couple of those here in the United States. I just love the Pajeros. They're really cool. Cool looking vehicles, not very common. You can see a lot more in Nigeria where I'm from, but not here in the US. And it's kind of my favorite one. It looks good and it's quite capable. Word fella saying, how are you doing, BC? I'm doing quite well. Just trying to stay warm. As you see, I have my Bisimoto like hoodie here and a beanie. And it's quite cold here in the shop, but the team and I continue to work away and get projects going. So lots of wiring, lots of fabrication. It's been a busy week and continue through the wet balance of the week. That's what's up, nice bro, says Roger That. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate you indeed. Are those racing stickers that say the Rolls Royce in the back? LOL, says Chucky RDA Life. I wouldn't call them racing stickers, but more like partner stickers. So that vehicle was launched last year at the SEMA 2024 show in the Toyo Tread Pass, which is really the mecca when you go to SEMA. It's a place to be. They have a variety of amazing cars there. And typically when I have technical partners or build partners, I would love to give them ample notice or exposure on the cause. So instead of putting stickers all over the body of the vehicle, we did a bit of a nice roll call on the back windshield. So what you see are sponsor partner stickers, not racing stickers. Because even though that thing can really hurt a lot of, feelings, being 600 plus horsepower EV, over 700 pound-foot of torque at 1 RPM, it is not a race car, despite that. But thank you so much for sharing that. Good day, Artec Moto. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining. How about the Mitsubishi Evo A9? What's your rating? How would you ever build on? I like the Evos, the Mitsubishis. I like those. I'm just not a big fan of their power plants because from the 4G63s up to anything recent, I haven't seen the reliability I'm accustomed to with Honda and Porsche. So, and plus I don't have a relationship with Mitsubishi, so I have never built one. So at this point, I don't have that in our arsenal to look forward to build. And that's what we have going on. Chris saying 9:35, yes that is. We have quite a few here in house. Good afternoon to you as well, Facts TV. Yo, Cliffy the Bone, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you indeed. If you've ever played the Need for video games, do you need the games for cars? If you ever played the Need for video game, if you're asking about Need for Speed, yes, I think they're quite realistic. I've had with my cars in there. I've also been the game franchise as well, and they really go above and beyond to make sure the dynamics of the car are very close to life. So short answer to a long question, yes. Corvolt, who seems to be all over different platforms, just gave me a number 3 gifter badge. Appreciate you indeed, Corvolt, fellow engineer, builder, and enthusiast. He's here on TikTok today. Last time he was on Instagram, I think time before he was on YouTube. So thank you so much for being so diverse. Appreciate that indeed. Do you like Volvo? Says Josh Schwalm on YouTube. Yes, I do. My parents had a 244 DL when I was growing up, station wagon. It was quite cool. So it left an indelible mark on my mind, especially one that's very positive. I do have projects here that use a lot of Volvo parts. Even this Caterham has some Volvo parts on it, believe it or not. So yes, I do find that Swedish brand quite appealing, even though it is owned by mostly Geely nowadays. Need for Speed, yeah, got you, fella, got you indeed. What an honor, you're a living legend, says JRS777. Thanks for the kind words. I just love cars indeed. Rollins Kitchens on IG says, hey, love from San Diego, a place I love to be. San Diego is such a nice place. I was there earlier this year for New Year's. Great, nice area, very cool community, lots to do. It's just a beautiful place indeed. So enjoy, and stay warm, my friend, because I know we're expecting some wet weather in the next few days. Love what you do for the community, says Ignatius Crustaceous. Thank you so much, Ignatius, for sharing that. Appreciate you indeed. I got another number 1 gifter badge from Gabriel on TikTok. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Appreciate you indeed. So once again, I want to thank many of you for coming out to the Machine Aesthetic this past Friday in downtown LA at Idyllic. It was great indeed with all the cars on display, electronic music, food, drinks, great camaraderie. I even made some friendships that will last me my entire life as well. Met some people within the industry I've been seeing quite a while. Launched a new Hot Wheels, 935 Hot Wheels that we had built and owned by Ron Chung. So really appreciate all of you being there. Want to thank all the celebrities for coming out, individuals like Joe Gat and Apple for Black Eyed Peas, people who have such a busy schedule and get invited to so many places, but chose to come to our event on a beautiful Friday evening in downtown Los Angeles. So thank you so much. Goonisms, sending love all the way from Canada. Thank you so much, Goonisms, and please forgive the current administration of what's going on between our country and yours. Let's see here. Follow your career since day one. Love the fabrications you made. And you also done for, says Chris Hopkins. Thank you so much, Chris Hopkins, for the kind words. Fast TV gave me another amazing gifted badge. Appreciate you. This is your daily driving vlog, says TJ Potts 86. More are coming. I'm doing some driving vlogs coming up very soon, the next month and a half, with the likes of American Honda, Mazda, Hyundai, and Genesis. So you can expect to see some cool variety. So when it comes time for you to make a buying decision or leasing decision for a car, hopefully we can help sway you one direction and provide our input that can be quite beneficial. Winter Saturday saw your build, says Japanese Classic Car Show. Good seeing you, JCCS. By the way, Japanese Classic Car Show puts together, in my opinion, the best Japanese show here in the US. Near the Queen Mary in Long Beach every year. Love those guys, but we went there Saturday to see our builds. Yeah, we started loading cars out that Saturday into Monday, and now all our cars are back here in the house. It's pretty nice. How many Hot Wheel cars are you up to now? I would say 7, says JRS777. We've done, okay, so we have a 935. We've had 3 Civic Type Rs, a silver, red, and blue. We've had Acura NSX GT3. We've had a Honda City which is quite nice, right? The little K car, and the Honda Odyssey. So 7 Bisimoto Hot Wheels, which were quite excited. Is that Tiffany blue in the rose? Says Devil May Blank. Yes, it is. But I don't know if it will stay with that color for long. We initially had a great idea in having this beautiful Tiffany blue to kind of tie in a little hot boy action to the car. And then the same year we were supposed to launch, some other builders had the same idea and also had similar colors. And mine was delayed. So I was supposed to have that car launched at SEMA in 2023. And because of my interior, it didn't get launched. I was waiting for it, didn't get finished. And long story short, another builder, maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because another builder had 2 of his cars with the same Tiffany interior. So like, wow, that would have been a Tiffany SEMA, wouldn't it? But then I already invested in material, the guy already started, so we kind of stayed with the color. Then last year, it came to me, the car came back to me Saturday before SEMA, which Monday was supposed to be loaded in, and it just wasn't up to par, and I'm quite vexed about it still. But what can you do? Live and learn. So that being said, we're gonna redo the whole thing, and then I'll be able to do a ton of content and have some fun with it, which is great, you know? Corvo says, I also have a source for a full NACS charge port with actuator 485 ship. Manufactured in China. That is great news. And for those of you who don't know NACS, it's the North American Charging Standard, courtesy of Tesla. So you see that really small Tesla port. I wish I had something here to show you. But I do have an adapter, but it's way over there, and I have a smaller plug in way in the back over there. But it's a very nice compact plug. I like it because it's much simpler than what you see with CCS, which is the combined charging system. It is much more compact than the CHAdeMO, which is quite large, which is what I tend to use quite a bit. The Rolls-Royce has CCS, the Blue 911 has CHAdeMO. And for me, when I have all these tribute cars, these 935 race vehicles, a lot of the openings are very small in the hood. So using a port, charge port that is both DC fast charging and AC capability with an onboard charger in the same port that's very compact is a bane. It's a good advantage. So Corvo, please send some details. I'd love to look into that. That's a great price. And as we continue to progress as an industry, we'll notice that EV conversions will keep getting more and more cost effective. Batteries are starting to get more cost effective because it's becoming quite ubiquitous. Pre-owned parts that we can always upcycle or recycle are available in a lot of dismantlers nowadays for better pricing. I remember we used to pay $20,000 for batteries, and now you can find batteries for $3,000. So that's a huge advantage, right? Drive units are still a little expensive, but I anticipate that to be stable, slightly coming down as the volumes continue to increase. But it's a great market. This is a great time to be an enthusiast. And our event this past Friday really showcased the variety that can happen from a propulsion perspective. We had this particular vehicle, which is the air-cooled 3.0. We had another one at 3.3 air-cooled from Rod Chung as well. So his has a standard throttle body opening. This has drive-by-wire, which is a little bit more modern as well. We had the M16, which has a water-cooled 996 twin-turbo engine and a classic old-school body. The M16 935. We also had 2 EVs, being the K3 EV and the Mobi X, which are both 935 tributes, but with an EV conversions. So as you look around the board, all those cars are different and unique and exciting in their own way. And that's the great thing we have as individuals right now in the industry, to be able to live in a place where we can have so much variety with propulsion and with racing, and we can have a lot of fun, whether we're electric, flex fuel, gasoline, turbo, non-turbo, wherever the case may be. So I love it. Love living in this time as an enthusiast. This is great. Jojo Miller says, beautiful Porsche. Thank you so much. The legend is live, says Stupid Slow on TikTok. Thank you so much. What's your favorite air-cooled generation? Says Stupid Slow. I would say it's the 964. And not because the likes of us or Singer, like just grabbing those cars and doing things with it. But in my opinion, the 964 is the, how should I say, the most modern of all air cools that still have the old frog eye headlights. So the frog eye where the lights kind of stick up, not like a slant nose or flat bow like that, but where the 2 headlights kind of just stick up. Unlike the 993, which starts looking more like a 997 in terms of headlights, that kind of open headlights. I just love the frog eyes. It's just really classic. So I can have the beauty of an older classic Porsche with brakes that work well, with air conditioning that works well, heating that's quite decent, and also the ride that feels very modern and not like old school bug-like, if that makes sense. TV Auto Mechanica says, BC, I need a camshaft for a D16Y7 for racing. Well, TV Auto Mechanica, we are your one-stop place for anything single cam performance-wise. The D16Y7 is the sibling to the D16Y8 VTEC, but in the Y7 format is a non-VTEC assembly. I broke tons of records with non-VTEC assemblies as well. My go-to was a D16A6 to D16B, D15B, I should say, B7. Love those engines. So for racing, you definitely can get our spring, Pro Spring, and titanium retainer combo. And then, depending if you're road racing or drag racing, you can do either a level 3 or a level X. And if you're boosted, you can do a level 2.4 or level 3.6. So that being said, let us know. Send me a DM here on IG or write to us at sales@bisimoto.com. That's sales in plural, SALES at BISIMOTO.com, and we can get you going. Indeed. What's your opinion on cars in the Burnout video game, says Warrior Fella. I have not played the Burnout video game. I've had vehicles like in CSR2 I've done burnouts, but the Burnout video game itself, I have not. Is the antique looking car behind you a Jaguar? There are a couple of classic vehicles behind me. I'm surrounded by two Porsches here, and right there is an old 1974 Rolls Royce, Silver Shadow, and right here is a Lotus 7 Caterham. So maybe that answers your question properly, Warrior Fella. Yep, hopefully that is. Okay, what am I missing here? France is in the house, courtesy of ROM and 1JZ. 1JZ is better than 2JZ in higher RPM compared to 2JZ. I have heard mixed messages. As a matter of fact, one of my friends from Drift Motion combined the two when he did a 1JZ, 2JZ, something like that, where he put a 1JZ head on a 2JZ bottom, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that is a bit debatable. People really love the 2JZs, they love them. 1JZs are quite popular as well, but 2JZs seem to be workhorses. They can make a lot of power, even in factory form. 25K best sports car, as Diego Calamona. I would say for 25K, a decent best sports car, in my opinion, would be a cross between the S2000 and the 987 Porsche Cayman S. Those are two cars that can give a lot of bang for buck, amazing driving experience, fantastic characteristics on and off the track, especially in manual format, by all means. That'd be a good one, you know? NA2JZ be stepped on, says Boy Toy Click. And I've seen people boost those as well. You know how it's weird how the intake manifold goes right across the spark plug or the valve cover? That's pretty interesting. But yeah, they do get slept on, but they do have tons of potential as well. God bless your soul, BC, says ST and Brian. Thanks for the kind words, brother. Back to you. Appreciate you. How can I learn to tune cars, says ST and Brian, where you can explore what I did, which is experimenting with my own vehicle. Before I even touched any custom car, I had the unique opportunity of tuning my own vehicles. I used to take mine to tuners back in the day, and I experienced a couple of times where my engine was expired when it shouldn't have. And as an engineering student at the time, I felt, how hard could it be? And I'm talking about when I was carbureting, which made me a better fuel injection tuner because it allowed me to understand characteristics of airflow and fuels. Like for example, when you're tuning a carburetor, you really have to think about your flow bowl and keep that filled. You have to think about air nozzles, air jets, and fuel jets as well. And pump nozzle jets. Pump nozzle jets where you stab the throttle. And of course, since air is much less dense than fuel, when you open the throttle rapidly, the air will flow into the engine, but the fuel can't keep up to help keep the fuel mixture proper. So you kind of play around with pump nozzle jets where the pump nozzle will squirt in quickly a lot of fuel to compensate for any hesitation that could occur from a slightly mean mixture when the air just flows in very rapidly. So when you go to fuel injection, it's the same thing with self-fuel, but instead of you just like doing what you think is ideal, you have a better understanding and grounded opportunity on how it works. So they say, oh, that's why I had to do self-fuel a certain way and add fuel and wean off accordingly. So after experimenting with my own cars, I also took up classes. EFI 101, courtesy of Ben Strader, is where I went to really hone my skills in tuning. They used to be local. I went to San Diego for that. I think they're in Arizona. They have some things online now. I think There are also some other entities that have online classes, but taking a class would be the way to go. I think Horsepower Academy is another place that you can go and learn how to tune. And right now, with the plethora of educational resources online, especially on YouTube, it's not very difficult to be able to learn that concept and master it. But I do like going to those very, how should I say, prestigious entities that have had a lot of experience and have a lot of success under their belt, hence, Horsepower Academy and EFI 101. So hopefully that helps. Jay Smooth, that's crazy, gave me a number 3 gifter badge. Appreciate you doing that on TikTok for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully TikTok stays up. That's also in flux when this can happen. Diego Calderon Lemos says thank you, huge fan. Thank you as well. Appreciate you. Wow, Jay Smooth, another gifted bag. Jay Smooth, another gifted bag. Thank you so much for the gifted badges. Appreciate that. Lotus Elise is the best for 25,000 and the best for the track. So Rom and 1JZ, the Lotus Elise is a very capable vehicle. My qualm with the Lotus Elise and Exige is how uncomfortable they are for long driving distances. So we talked about San Diego. We have a fan here who's from there, a fellow enthusiast. If I was to drive to San Diego for a couple of hours, I get there in the Lotus Elise, I am like sore. It is really a bare bones vehicle, very bare bones, and not super comfortable for long drives. But the S2000, you can go to the Bay Area from Los Angeles comfortably and it feels good. Same thing, the Cayman is like you're riding in a lap of luxury. It's absolutely fantastic. So even though that is a capable vehicle for about 25 to 30K, I feel for the all-round driver, both track and street, S2000 and the 987 Cayman S are my picks. What are your thoughts on the Lucid EV, says Bisimoto? I love them. I love the look of those. I had the opportunity at a recent event in Orange County to drive around a Sapphire, which is pretty cool, very luxurious, superior fit and finish to my experiences had been with Teslas, whether it's the Model 3 or Plaid I have. Much faster if you go with a top of line unit, even though it costs about $250,000, but that thing runs 8 stock, which is amazing, right? Also, I'm a fan of that technology. Their motors are very efficient, much smaller than what you see out there, and they're not as ubiquitous as you may see with Tesla. So it kind of gives it that nice air of rarity that you may see with the Porsche Taycan, right? So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. I'm from Chicago, says Two Tone, and watched the tuned SI from a couple weeks ago. I'm very intrigued with what's going on. Doing this to my own SI, 19 SI, or is there another recommendation? So if you have a 2019 SI, that is a bit of a different year. The 2019 has an older engine compared to the most recent SI, but the concept still transferable with the exception of the 2019 SI. I don't know if you'll be able to make the same kind of power, but you can flash those with Flash Pro. You could get components from PRL. When you have a chance, go to the website, take a look, and see what you can do and be able to mimic that. It shouldn't be a challenge at all. But there have been some advantages, some big advantages with SI from 2019 to date, by all means. And that was a 2023, if my memory serves correctly. You know the Mazda 323 Model 90 car? No, I do not know the Model 90 car. I'm not familiar with that at all. Thank you, BC, says ST and Brian. My pleasure indeed. Leadfoot Santa, cool screen name by the way, is saying, hey BC, I love your old school builds. Thank you for the kind words. I'm building a first generation Tegra. I assume that's the one with the D16A1 motor. Oh, it has a ZC motor, sleeved by Dan Benson. I remember Dan quite fondly. For turbo, what are your thoughts on a standalone computer system? Wow, you have a lot of options there with the ZC motor. Now, if you want to stay with something in that same genre where you want to really embrace that old school feel, you can do something with the old ECUs of that era and use a Honda S300. Now, the S300 is something that kind of keeps old school. It uses the same kind of, you can use a P30 ECU or P28 and be able to tune that plugging in with a standard USB cord. It has some limitations because it's not as advanced as what you would see with an AM Infinity or a Series 2 or Haltech or a Pectel or what you may see with the Ecotech. you won't see, or Mtron I should say, you won't see those capabilities like full knock sensing or drive-by-wire capability, or if you want to do some things with some amazing closed-loop feedback, you can do a little bit, but not per cylinder as you may see, or any kind of anti-knock capabilities per cylinder. You have to do something very creative to get individual coil firing if you want to get the ultimate in terms of spark energy. So you do have some limitations with the P28, P30 ECUs, but if you can find an AM Infinity, that's would be the way to go. If you have a hard time doing that, Tech has a solution for you, and so does Mtron. Those are all very good ECUs that can supply you motorsports capability on a sportsman budget, which is always a good thing, right? So always pay attention to the local jurisdiction if you're allowed to do such a thing. But by all means, please explore. Explore indeed. Okay. Southwood saying, holy S, that's a 935 in background. Absolutely. You don't speak Spanish as Samuel Ariango? I do not. Yeah, I may look like I'm from the Dominican Republic, but I am Nigerian. I do not speak that at all. I still have my OBD0 Z-Dime Gold ECU for my CRX pre-Honda. That is old school. Z-Dime? Wow, it's almost like chrome. Anyway, thank you for sharing. I wouldn't really see that as a forward-thinking ECU, but hold on to it because those can be really cool in the future. You never know. It's like a nice little blast from the past. Can you throw some tuning tips, maybe some info on E85 timing versus pump and 91 timing? Yes, I can. Wait, Lauren. Now, when tuning E85 versus 91, which is what we had here, some people refer to as urine in Southern California, I tend to tune the vehicles on 91 octane and optimize them using knock sensing as a baseline. So when I'm tuning, after I optimize the fuel and VTEC crossovers, if such a car has it, I pay a lot of attention to noise. So I'll do a partial throttle sweep through a given RPM band, let's say from 2,000 RPM to 6,000, and I see how quiet the knock bolts are for each cylinder or each bank or one bank, depending on how many sensors you have on the engine. And then I look at that and I kind of go above that by about 10% as my knock floor. Then I start doing full throttle tunes and watching my knock noise or knock voltages. If it gets close to 10% above what I did partial throttle, I remove timing there to make sure I have a very good balance between power and reliability. And then when I'm done tuning and optimizing on 91, we drain the fuel, I switch over to 85 and get as high as 85 as possible. You want to get all the E10 or 91 octane out of there as much as possible to get as close to 85 as you can. Then I continue tuning. And what I've seen in my experience is even though I optimize the fueling, could be anywhere from 36 to 42% more fuel for the E85, for the ethanol-based fuel or the ethanol-heavy fuel, I have seen from 0 to 6 degrees increased timing where there's power opportunities and knock is still far from being a challenge. So what I tend to do is I do sweeps at the same ignition timing that I optimize at 91, and then I add 2 degrees of timing across the power band and take a look and see how my dynos increase in power and do another 2. And I do another 2 until I get that point of diminishing returns, or as I pay attention, if I see any knock opportunities that are arising because of increased knock voltages. And then I just reduce accordingly. If it's too much at a certain RPM, or I start seeing a little bit of noise or not much power, I reduce by 1 degree and see if I gain or stay the same. But I end up staying with the lowest ignition timing number that gives me the power I want. And that's one of the reasons, as I refer back to last week's Tech2sDay, when someone asked me about tuning in terms of remote tuning, even though you look at knock, that's not the be-all end-all. The dyno tells me how much power I can gain. Like for example, I can add 5 degrees of timing to an entire power map from 91 to E85 and start seeing no noise or very slight noise at all. And I say, oh, maybe that's good. While in certainty, when I look on a dyno, I'm gaining power or losing power in certain sections of the power curve, which is not ideal. And there's no way to know that on the street or with a remote tune. You need a dyno to optimize and be able to validate what RPMs you're picking up power and which ones you're losing. And that's it. So once again, Ray Lauren, long answer to a short question, but in essence, I've seen from 0 to about 6 degrees time increase, and now global, it's in RPMs, of 91 versus 85, where 85 does reign supreme. BOPMC says, hey BC, loving the Tech Tuesdays. 3 years ago, I had sent a couple of messages here about the idea that's now a reality. It was a fit for the track. Tested STU in a Peugeot 208 Cup car with friends at UNI. Love it, love it, love it. You know I have a soft spot for Peugeots because my first vehicle that I ever drove and one I ever owned was a Peugeot 504 from back in the day. So thank you so much for joining and for sharing that DOPMC. Please DM me some pictures. I'd love to see that beauty. IPMGBC says SIR, SIG, SIRSIG. I look forward to exploring that right when we're done. Hopefully it doesn't get buried. I get hundreds of DMs a day, guys. And sometimes people get vexed with me that I don't answer quickly or that I don't see it at all. But I apologize ahead of time for many of you who may write to me. I just get so many, and if your message comes at early in the day and I get busy, it just gets buried down. What does it matter? I also speak English, says Sam Arango. Good, very nice. Show me a car. There's quite a few behind me. A 935, 72 Porsche 911, Rolls Royce Shadow, Abraham. Take a pic. There's some nice cars behind me, indeed. Do you think Z-Max is snake oil, or do you believe it actually does anything for an engine? I've not played with it. I am not big on those additive kind of setups, so I haven't played with it. Maybe I should do a video. Let me know if you'd like me to do something where I can explore myself and give you an unbiased, true experience with Z-Max to see if it helps or not. Have you received your PR shipment? Depends on what you need. If you need 5WD30, no, I haven't received any in quite a while. No, I have not. I have a Lotus Elise S2 Rover, K-Series, nice. And I need a K-swap for high RPM. And S2000 is better for comfort. Don't need a swap at F20 or 22, it's good. 90 RPM for high torque. It's not a brutal torque. The F1 example, it says ROM and 1JZ. Thanks so much for that insight, appreciate you. I have an O2 Civic SI hatch. What engine would you go for with a hatch? Personally, I'll break that down in 2 ways. Maybe 3, now I think about it. And what would those 3 ways be? Well, for an O2 hatch, I would do, if I'm boosting, a K24 Z7 or Z3. Those engines are picked up for a dime a dozen. My fellow enthusiasts think they're not great engines. I think they're awesome. I use them in my 2012 Civic. Also use it in the Bisimoto V2 wagon. Those engines on a factory format with a turbo can make 400 horsepower all day, all night, no problems. You can get a manifold from PRL that bolts directly to the port. It's amazing, spools quickly. You can spool even a huge 72mm turbo very rapidly just because it has a short runner, which simulates almost like a log manifold. It's great indeed. So that'd be one opportunity if you're boosting. If you're naturally aspirated, I wouldn't mind going with a K24 out of the TSX in there. You still have a propensity for K-Series. They just really so much aftermarket support and a very, very amazing engine. And then last but not least, what will be the third one I'm going? A kit that's becoming quite popular courtesy of everyone from Hasport to our friends who make the Ghost Key with JM. And that would be the L15 that comes in the Civic Si, the newer SIs. The L15B turbos are fairly cost-effective engines with a lot of potential, and they are a lot of fun. Spool so quickly, so much aftermarket support. So of those 3, I gave you a turbo build if you want to do your own thing, whether you're building it or using a factory engine. I gave you an opportunity for high RPM natural aspiration, which you can do with K24 and TSX, which is quite a potent power plant. And then last but not least, something out of the L15, the newer version that exists in the newer Civics, that should give you a nice opportunity for fun and cost-effective nature that can be quite enjoyable. What's up, brother? Says ITV Kevin. We need to get you out soon. Yes, I agree. It's getting cold again, Kevin. It's still raining. How about we wait for this slew of rains to go in a couple of weeks and let's go out and have some fun. Jonathan actually gave me this nice little container for ammunition, so I can't wait to start using it and going out there and having a blast with you. Kevin is a great friend who's a fellow enthusiast, who started off as a customer and just has taught me so many great things, and is a hardcore enthusiast. And if you see a nitrous-based 4-door Civic driving around Southern California, leave it alone. It would embarrass you. Porsche 911 says, for a 911 project with an M96 engine and 997 gearbox, considering cutting away or deleting the torsion bar, what's the best way to go for the coilover system? There are many options that you can use. So I have a very nice rear coilover system that is a combination between ourselves, Bisimoto, and iBox. So I have a few of those where it just allows you to do away completely with torsions and use it as a full adjustable coilover system in the rear that's inverted. And because it's inverted, the heavier part is attached to the body of the car, while the lightweight section of the rod is connected to the banana arms. And that allows for much lighter unsprung weight, which is great, and allows for a more repeatable, more reactive, nice suspension system. Now, if you want to go for some crazy top of line stuff, just like we did on this 935 behind me, you can go with the KW line of K3 setups as well. So the Club Sport for this is a beautiful setup, immaculate, has multiple, almost infinite adjustability for compression and rebound. Those kits are fantastic. We also stock those as well. But the one important thing is, as you cut away on deleting the torsion bar, especially the tube that houses the torsion bar itself, you definitely want to reinforce around it before you cut, so you don't have any tweaking. And then on the very top of your assembly, Porsche 911, you want to make sure that you incorporate the strut tower braces that we sell as well. It's very much similar to what you'll see in the 911R of your. Back in the day, that's what I mean by your, and those will allow you to put aside any fracturing of your strut tower braces, because as you can imagine, the strut towers themselves weren't designed to take the full brunt of the weight of the car, but it can, as long as things are reinforced. You don't want to have that issue you see with E46s or E36s, which can happen with classic 911s, everywhere from the 60s up until the 993s. So that being said, hopefully that helps. Awesome info, brother, says Ray Lauren. I appreciate you, great knowledge. Can you save this live? Yes, I can. As a matter of fact, the only platforms that don't allow me to save the lives directly would be TikTok. But I do keep them here on Instagram indefinitely. Do the same thing on the YouTube channel and through podcast networks, whether you're using Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, just do a search for Bisimoto. You can hear this live as well. Samuel Rego is saying, show us a car or he's leaving. Well, I'm sorry, sir, maybe you do have to depart because I have a rig here and it's literally impossible for me to take this whole assembly, just show you around the car. I do have a lot of videos online, even new ones as recently as last week, that walk around some of the cars here in the shop and shows each car individually and more to come. So thank you so much. Boy Toy Click says, hi Insta, hi TikTok. I'm sure he's greeting all of you from around the globe. Appreciate that indeed. Let's see here. Oh, I'm missing so much love here on TikTok. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry I missed you. Saw you on Jay Leno's Garage, says Zeke5493. Appreciate that. Jay Leno's been one of the most enjoyable shows I've ever been on with a fellow enthusiast. We've been on his show 7 times, the same amount of times I've had a Hot Wheel car. Quite interesting, isn't it? Anyway, Jay's a great guy, and he's said to me so fondly that if I built a bicycle, he would drive it. That's how much he loves some of the creations coming here out of Bisimoto. And I look forward to working with him. As a matter of fact, that Rolls Royce right there came as a result of a conversation I had with him when he drove the K3V and had a blast with that. You still got the NA7 second D series EG. So that single digit EG was not mine. It was actually a client's car that we supplied components to. So we supplied them parts, but it's Francisco's car and he lives in Puerto Rico. So I don't own that car. I just help with some technology in it, but thank you so much. No lies, I'm not going to go. Lies, I'm not going to go. Well, thank you, Samuel, for staying. We appreciate your presence here. And I promise you, I'll keep doing individual videos from time to time. We'll launch one soon on the Caterham. We'll do one on this Action 935 77A. We'll definitely do that, you know? Why did you part ways with your EF wagon? Jack EJ8, I have a wagon back there, but I can tell you why I parted with the first one. Because of thieves. Thieves are the reason why I parted with the first wagon. Yep, SoCal is kind of the mecca of people who like to steal Hondas, which is quite interesting. I, on 2 occasions, in broad daylight, saw individuals who I thought were admiring the wagon, and they were trying to steal it. The last one was at the Puente Hills Mall, close to Hacienda Heights, where I used to live, in the parking lot. I saw this group of guys there, like, oh, they were admiring the car because, you know, it's kind of popular. I had a 700 horsepower D series set up, and I went to talk to them about the car because I love talking about my projects, and saw the guy like, oh shoot, walk off with a like a little hanger. He was trying to, or Slim Jim, I think it was Slim Jim, was trying to break into it. So at that point I thought, my goodness, I can't enjoy my own cars. So I think I'd rather it go to someone who can enjoy it, maybe in an area that's not as theft prone as Southern California. So I put it up for sale, and people, you know, normal Honda fashion, lowballing me. And then I decided to part it out. So the engine and transmission I ended up selling. No, I think I sold the engine to a good friend of mine who offered me more for the engine than most people offer with the whole car. I think Steph Papadakis bought the gearbox that had a limited slip inside of it and a proper final drive. The ECU I sold elsewhere. The water methanol kit sold to someone else. So the intercooler to someone else, the turbo manifold to someone else, the turbos elsewhere. The intake manifold went elsewhere as well. The booster pump that I used for the intake pump went somewhere else too. And then the roller ended up going to a guy who I tried to buy it from again to rebuild a version 2, but refused to sell it to me for nothing less than 3 times the amount I sold it to him for. So I just let it go and built another one that Buddy Club provided me. So that being said, that's a long answer once again to your short question. I parted ways with it because of thieves. It was just very comfortable driving it, and you can imagine how challenging it could be when you have a vehicle and your heart's in your throat every time you park it and walk away. So literally, I just went to the mall to get some things, and then already people try to steal it. I definitely can't park it overnight outside on the streets. It's just very, very difficult. Very difficult indeed, you know? Let's see. Any tips, Grumpy D, on building an all-motor H22? Why am I pausing so much on building H22 all-motor? Because I love the bottom end of the H22. It is a stout bottom end, very similar to what I had fun with the H22A. Matter of fact, I used a lot of crossover parts from the H22. But what I don't like about the H22 is the valve train. Because of how the valve train is set up in the head, with the rocker assembly and all, it is very difficult to have very huge cams in it. So even though the head flow is okay, and you can make some decent power turbocharging it, definitely okay power all motor, the ultimate in power is limited because of the valve train. So Grum D, if you haven't bought an engine, I would kindly ask you if you don't mind the uniqueness of a single cam engine of building F22A, because it has the same bottom end as the H23 in terms of dimensions and strength, but the head can be done to flow more, and you can put up to 600 lift chassis of power. But if you want to stay with the H22, if your power goals are modest, if you're not trying to make 400 wheel, natural aspirated all motor, then you can get away with camshafts, some good head work, because the power is in the head. Make that thing flow. Oversized valves, valve train, higher compression pistons, upgraded rods, and if your budget allows, go for a higher stroke crankshaft. Because sometimes that 90.3 millimeter stroke doesn't quite cut it on the H22. Doesn't quite cut it. Some people would put in a 95 millimeter stroke from an from F22A. Some people can go to entities like Brian Crower and do like a 100 stroke crank to be able to make a lot of power. But your limitation on the H23 and H22, unfortunately, is the valve train itself, you know? Boy Toy Click says, what do you prefer, metal or fiberglass bodies? If I had a chance, I love the metal ones. Fiberglass are typically for race cars, so not only they're cost effective and lightweight, but if you do damage them, they're quite easy to replace. So a lot of the 935s were, fiberglass from back in the day, and a combination of a steel hood and fiberglass body. And we tend to do those when appropriate. And when the budget allows, carbon fiber, of course. for the lightweight, strength, and longevity. Would a K20Z3 cans be used on K24Z3 head? Yes, they can. They are interchangeable. They can be used. All right, where's the van? At my residence, K. Willanier 2, appreciate that. Senior Pizza 79 says, hey buddy, hope all is well. Hope all things well with you as well. Appreciate you. So that being said, I do have the Odyssey Unknown Driver, and we're almost close to the hour, but guys, I really appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much for joining us on this cool Tuesday afternoon at the Bisimoto headquarters. I will have this up for all my friends here on Instagram, YouTube Live, and also the podcasting networks. For you guys on TikTok, it doesn't allow me to archive quite yet. And if there is, I have not been aware of it, so please bear with me. But in the meantime, guys, stay safe. For those in Southern California, please drive defensively and safe for the next 2 days. Next 2-3 days is going to be a wet one. But we need the rain. It's been quite dry for a few days, and it'd be nice to have snow up in the mountains. It's one of the reasons why I love being here in Southern California. I'm an hour away from the beach, an hour away from the snow, an hour away from the desert. There's so much variety here in SoCal, and it's one of the reasons why I find it so appealing. But anyway, take care, everyone. Great projects to come. Thank you so much, and take care. Cheers.